Nobody talks about the part where you're 3 months in, you ain't got no paycheck, no team, you're completely alone, and you're just winging it at 2 a.m. all by yourself wondering, did I make the worst decision of my life? Everyone sees the leap, but nobody talks about what it actually feels like to be in the middle of it. I went from being employee number 4 at Feastables by Mr. Beast, built the entire CX department, a VP title, and scaled a brand to 150 mil, to then starting my own agency with nothing but a laptop and 20 years of experience. And today, I'm giving you the 5 mindset shifts that made that leap survivable. The ones nobody told me about before I made it. If you're thinking about leaving your corporate job to go out on your own, this is the video I wish I had. Quick version on how I got here. 20 years in customer experience. Before I was ever at Feastables, I worked in software tech. I worked in fintech, travel tech, cybersecurity tech, all this tech. I worked at multiple different startups running customer experience, product marketing teams. And then one day I was reached out to by a recruiter and they were like, hey, do you want to interview for this job for a brand by Mr. Beast? And like, truthfully, I'm 40 now. But at the time, I still was in my late 30s and I'm like, who the fuck is Mr. Beast and what the fuck is a Feastable? I literally was not the target demo. That's where we're going with that. But something about the opportunity felt really right. So I took a leap of faith and I took the job. And I was employee number 4. And over the next few years, I built the CX department from the ground up. And it was one of the funnest times in my career. I was delivering Teslas around the country. I was doing wild and crazy shit. But I also proved that CX was a growth engine and not just customer support. And then I left, not because something went wrong and not because I was pushed out. I left at what most people would call the peak. And the reason I left is what I actually want to get into, because it's probably the same feeling that you have while sitting here watching this. What I learned from the other side of that decision was this: 5 shifts. And I'm going to give you all of them. And at the end of each one, I'll give you a specific thing that you can do that week, that day, and not just down the line. Most entrepreneurship content makes that leap feel easy, or it's on the other end of it where it makes it feel impossible. This is neither of those. This is the real. I didn't leave Feastables because I was unhappy. I didn't leave because something went wrong. And I didn't leave because I had some fully formed business plan. I left because there was something that was in me that said, you gotta go do this. And I just wanted to chase that feeling. And there wasn't a safety blanket. There wasn't a bag of cash that I had. I just took a leap of faith, literally. And once that feeling shows up, it doesn't actually go away. You can ignore it for a while, push it down with a good quarter, a promotion, this, that, and the other thing. But it always comes back. And I think if you're watching this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I left. And what came next were 5 things that nobody ever prepared me for. Starting with the one that hit first and the hardest. The moment I walked out of Feastables, my title stopped working. Inside a company, your title carries a lot of weight. VP is an executive title with a lot of responsibilities and a lot of weight. It gets you meetings. People take the call because of the name on your business card. But the day you leave, nobody cares about your title. What they want to know is this: what can you actually do? What have you actually built? What can you point to and say, I did that? My first few months after leaving, I went from an introduction that opened every room that I walked into to just, I'm Jess, I own an agency. And the difference in how people respond to those introductions, it's humbling. It's supposed to be humbling. The humility is information. But what saved me was that I had results. I could say, I built this dope as fuck chatbot for Feastables and I deflected over 1 million conversations with it. Or I built this chatbot within a text messaging channel and I drove 6% of my launch revenue. I took a 30-person outsourced team and dwindled that down to 5 people because of the automations that I built within that CX org. I proved CX was a revenue driver and not just a cost center. I was employee 4 at a brand that was doing 150 mil. Those numbers opened doors and the title was just a decoration. So here's what you need to do before you leave your corporate job. Build your results portfolio now while you still have that infrastructure. Not the job descriptions, the outcomes. Be very specific of the outcomes. That portfolio is your new business card. Run the title removal test. Take your title and your company off your LinkedIn bio right now. Just look at it. What's left? If the answer is nothing compelling, that's the work you need to do before you're ready. And honestly, start taking on side projects. Start hustling now. Consult for a friend's brand. Advise a startup. Write a case study. The title was the first thing, but once that was settled, something else hit me that I thought I was prepared for, but I wasn't. In corporate, money is predictable. A paycheck hits every 2 weeks. Benefits are covered. You know exactly what's coming in. You can plan around it and you can sleep a little bit better, right? But when you go out on your own, money becomes a completely different animal. It's inconsistent. It's directly tied to you being able to create value and sell that value. Some months are incredible. Some months you're staring at your bank account at 2 a.m. crying. The shift you have to make is money as salary to money as an energy I create value through. That reframe sounds clean on paper. Living is a different thing entirely. My first months at Open Lake Collective, I had no steady paycheck. And there was a real moment where I had to decide, is this worth it? Is this what I actually want to do? But I kept going. But I want to be honest about this. I almost didn't. And most people who talk about this leave that part out completely. Here's what I need you to do right now. Calculate your runway number today. Pull up your accounts. What are your actual monthly expenses? How many months can you survive with zero coming in? Write that number down. If it's under 6 months, you're not ready yet. Build to 6 to 12 months before you even think about it. Start generating revenue before you quit, while you're still employed, while you still have benefits, while you still have that consistent paycheck. Even one client can turn into 5 clients. It all comes down to someone paying you for your expertise and finding value in what it is that you do for these people. And when you do leave, separate your survival money from your growth money. 2 buckets. Survival covers your expenses no matter what. Growth is what you invest in your business. Most people mix these together and then make desperate decisions from a place of fear. Keep them separate from day one. The money shift was really fucking hard, but it was concrete. I could solve it with math and action. But the one that almost stopped me was completely harder because it wasn't about money at all. When you've spent years being the CX person at Feastables and that's how you introduce yourself, your confidence also almost becomes wrapped up within it and the brand. Leaving doesn't just mean losing a job. It means almost losing a version of yourself. I remember the first time someone asked me, what it is that I do? And before my answer was super clean, I was the VP of customer experience at Feastables. I worked at all these startups before, this, that, and the other thing. And then everybody had some immediate reaction because they knew about my expertise. They knew what it is that I did, this, that, and the other thing. Now my answer was, I'm building something. I'm starting an agency. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And the stumbling and the hedging comes of, so what is it that you sell? What is your thing? And it's kind of like, oh, well, you're an agency. And that question used to terrify me. It's almost the most important question you'll have to answer though, because on the other side of it is the clearest version of who you are. The moment it shifted from terrifying to liberating was the moment I started building Open Lake Collective with real conviction. Not my old title propping it up, just what I actually believed and what I actually could do. So here's what I need you to do. Write your I am statement without using your company or your title. Finish the sentence with, I am someone who, not my title, not my company. What do you actually do? What do you believe? What do you stand for? If you can't write that sentence right now, it's not your time to leave. Start building a public identity outside of your job now. Post online about your thinking and not just your company, your frameworks, your opinions. When I was at Feastables, I used to post a lot on the internet about my frameworks, about what it is that I do, more about my craft and less about the company that I worked for. That identity existed independently. So when I left, people already knew who Jess was, not just the person with the Feastables thing. That public identity becomes the foundation of your founder brand. The values and the perspective your future team, your clients, everything that you're building is based off of. It also becomes the force of how people find and understand you long before you ever send that proposal. So start building now. Knowing who you are outside of your title and your current company is the internal shift. But there is one practical decision that I made during this time that changed everything on how I launched Open Lake Collective. And I almost didn't make it. Most people who leave corporate start their own thing and then make the same exact mistake. They go silent. They disappear for 3-6 months trying to figure it all out to then pop out again to be like, hey, I did it. They want the website to be perfect. They want their proposal to be perfect, whatever it is. They want everything to be perfect instead of building publicly. But when you start building publicly, you start finding comrades in your situation. You start finding communities. You also start proving that you can do the things that you can do to people who you don't think could be listening. It's just such a corporate mindset. You don't show anything until you've had like 5 different iterations of it and it's gone through 50 different approvals. But the entrepreneurial mindset is the exact opposite. Share the process. Tell people what you're building while you're building it, but also keep a little secrets because you don't want to let everybody out on whatever you're doing, because the people who watch you build are going to be the first people who buy from you. This is what saved my launch. I'd been building my voice on LinkedIn while I was still at Feastables. So then when I left, it was the natural progression for me to open up my consulting. When I announced Open Lake Collective, the audience was there to support me. Whether they were buying from me or not, I still had a support system. So here's what I need you to do. I want you to post one piece of content just this week alone about what it is that you know today. Not about your company. What are your frameworks? What are you passionate about? What is the thing that you have based your entire career off of and the things that you've learned that you can share with others? Don't expect it to go viral. Just get through the motion of scaling Cringe Mountain and posting content. That's the whole goal of you posting this week. And then I want you to pick what that platform is. So maybe it's IG, maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's LinkedIn. And I want you to challenge yourself for 90 days. Post once a day, once a week, whatever it is. Scale that Cringe Mountain and get into the habit of continuously posting and posting what it is that you want to eventually sell. Most people wait until after they've left to document what it is that they're doing. By then though, the details are fuzzy and the access is gone. So start now from the inside. 4 shifts, results over titles, money as something you create, identity as something bigger than your job, building before you're ready. All 4 of those got me to the edge of my leap. And then there was one thing standing between me and actually leaping. And this one I didn't see coming. At this point, I've done everything right. I had the results of portfolio. I figured out my runway. I'd done the identity work. I was already building in public and I was still waiting. Now consciously, I just didn't realize I was doing it, but I was. I was waiting for that right moment. I was waiting to feel fully ready. But that permission's never gonna come because it's literally not how it works. Nobody is coming to approve your leap. You approve yourself. That was the shift. And it sounds deceptively simple, but it genuinely is one of the hardest for most people. Because for most of us who have spent years inside organizations, we've been conditioned to wait for approval. Performance reviews, promotions, budget sign-offs. The entire corporate structure is built from approvals. You get rewarded for waiting for it and asking for it correctly. Entrepreneurship is the complete inversion of that. There's no one above you to wait for. You are the decision, but really feel it, something changes. The morning I launched Open Lake Collective, I truly did not feel ready. I still don't know if I was ready, but I had to decide. I had to take the leap. And that decision itself was the shift. Open Lake Collective exists because I stopped waiting for an approval. I stopped waiting for somebody to say it was good to go. And trust me, I have spent many a days crying on the floor, unsure if I was ready, but it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made. So here's what I need you to do. Pick your date, not a someday, not when things settle down. Pick your time for when you are going to make that leap. And once you've picked that date, work backwards from it. Every shift you've covered today is a task for you and for how you're gonna get to that leap. And on that date or before it, because you're more ready than you think, you make that decision. And not because someone approved it, but you did it. 5 shifts, results over titles. Money is something you create. Identity is something bigger than your job or your title. Building before you're ready and approving your leap before anybody else has. That's the framework. And it works whether you're 3 years in or just starting out. Now, if you want to see other skills that I've built within my own career, check out this video.